Hi, welcome to Third Coast Gaming Radio, episode 6. Today is Monday, November 2nd, and it's 2 days after Halloween. You know, pretty spooky day. Austin, do you partake in any of the Halloween scary movies?
No, some friends and I got together. What in the world? Okay, just had an ad pop up. Sorry. Some friends and I got together, did a Halloween themed D&D spook,
Oh, nice.
and that's what I did. I even planned on doing that on Halloween. I thought I was just gonna come home and not do anything for the rest of the day, but then I saw trick-or-treaters, and so I had to flee.
Oh, yes, of course. Much trick-or-treaters. I did see a lot of them while I was delivering pizzas, because, as it turns out, Halloween, good day for pizza delivery. Make decent money. But, I don't. I watched Beetlejuice for Halloween this year. I was
Yeah,
into that whole Tim Burton thing in middle school, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and enjoying his style. So Beetlejuice fun, as it
yeah.
turns out. Daylight
I
come, you want to go home.
Yeah, I've never been a big like Burton person, but I remember liking Beetlejuice when I watched it in like high school.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where it's like you're gonna watch that, and you're gonna watch the oh, what are those other classic Halloween movies that are like on ABC Family?
Oh, like Nightmare
There's
Before Christmas.
Hocus Pocus,
Um,
uh, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town. I forgot it's just in Halloween Town 2, Calabar's Revenge.
um,
Uh, yeah, the good stuff. Sleepy Hollow. I mean, rated R. Tim Burton movie, but also spoopy. Yeah,
yeah, these are
watching the
names of
ABC
things.
Family Halloween stuff growing up, and then just kind of generally being in horror movies, very fun. I don't like slashers, but I like the '80s horror stuff. Like, I think I'll usually watch John Carpenter's The Thing every Halloween because that's got some good practical effects and it's sci-fi.
Isn't there like a scene from the thing where like they just set someone on fire
Yes.
and that was like the only light in that room is the stunt double who's just on fire?
Yeah, they actually set someone on. He was in like a full body suit, and I think they
Yeah.
filmed him for like 10 or 15 seconds and then put it out right after.
Yeah, no, like that is probably the scene. I haven't watched the thing, but like I've always been like fascinated with like that scene specifically.
It's pretty weird. It's delightfully weird. There's a lot of good practical effects and a lot of weird like thing stuff. Because the thing's an alien who can look like people, so that's why they set that dude on fire. Is because he w- he was an alien. Let me send you this GIF of this weird monster puppet.
Oh no.
It's
Is
when they
this
open up one of the guys because they're trying to defibrillate him, and so his chest opens up and this alien just shoots out, and it's like this weird spider thing that has like the head of the guy.
Oh, yeah, so I've seen like a bit of this. Like I know what the thing looks like.
Yeah, good stuff.
And then they make like a prequel to the thing in like
Yeah,
2011.
yeah. They made a prequel after, and they removed all the practical effects they used in it and cut it down by 30 minutes because test markets didn't like it. It's from
Mm.
2011. Depressing movie. It just has Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in it. But and then the original The Thing from 1984. It's 1982. Was a remake of The Thing from Outer Space, The Thing from Another World, which is like a 1951 black and white movie.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. I'm into those weird movies. I think I also just like watched like Moneyball on Netflix too because that just came to it. That's some fun dialogue. Good Aaron Sorkin stuff. As weird as Aaron Sorkin is, I think that movie fun and the dialogue between people.
Yeah. I think at best Sorkin is all right at giving you like a fun like I don't want to say like I don't think like quippy like not like in the Joss Whedon sense of quippy but like quick dialogue between characters who just never seem to like each other that much.
No. They just like put up with each other. Even like Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill's characters in that movie are just kind of like Brad Pitt basically hires Jonah Hill to help him run
Yeah, to like
their
build this.
team. Yeah, based on to get players to buy wins and runs pretty much instead of the older school style of baseball where you're trying to find the best players. And there's a bunch of documentary footage in it, which is cool because the director's from that background. So it does use the Oakland A's like having their famous win streak from the time, I think it was 2004. Some of those real world like fake documentary movies where they're about like a real setting. What would you call it? Non-fiction movie? Some fiction.
Yeah, sort of.
Dramatization.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like an actual like genre name, but
Oh, I know. The 2002 Oakland A's. Yep. There we go.
so you know,
Which Moneyball, as it turns out, is a prequel to that Red Sox movie.
no, this.
It's actually a prequel to Fever Pitch because the
Oh,
Boston Red Sox won 2 years after because they were doing economy ball. They
thank
learned from Moneyball.
God. I was really. Because I've only seen one baseball movie, and that is Angels in the Outfield.
Oh yes.
And the thing is I was afraid you were going to turn this into a bit about that movie, and very relieved to hear it was instead that we shifted towards Fever Pitch, which I'm also afraid I might have seen this movie.
Fever Pitch is a Drew Barrymore.
Is this Jimmy Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon. When Jimmy Fallon was acting, Jimmy Fallon's way into the Red Sox, and he
Look at
can't
him.
find someone to date because he's too into the Red Sox. He goes into every game, and then the Red Sox win that season, and then him and Drew Barrymore get married.
Look at him. He's a baby.
And he is a baby.
He's so little.
I think that was a 2005 movie, and I know of that movie. I know of Jimmy Fallon because of that movie and Taxi.
Okay, all right. I've definitely seen this. I've seen this movie. I remember this era of Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, check out this. I don't know if you were looking at the poster, but Drew Barrymore's biting her lip because she's really into Jimmy Fallon in this poster.
Yeah, I mean, sure, everyone's allowed to have like bad taste, I guess.
It's true.
It's probably mean to Jimmy Fallon, but
Aw, he's making enough money. Don't worry about him.
yeah, no, he's rich.
He's a very successful man.
It's not
All
my
right.
not my type, but he's fine.
Hey, let's get into video games, man. So you were playing some board game stuff, and we'll talk about that. Not just board games, tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, get it right, Travis.
Yeah, I don't want to generalize the tabletop experience by calling them a board game with air quotes around board game. But I played No More Heroes. This was the Switch port that came out last week, and it is originally a Wii game made by Suda51 Grasshopper Manufacturing. I think it was from 2007. It is a 13-year-old game, and it feels like that sometimes. But the hacking and the slashing is good, and you have a laser katana. You play as Travis Touchdown, and he is a regular dude. He's kind of an otaku. He has like anime posters on his wall, and he really likes wrestling. And he manages to earn the rank of the 11th best assassin in the United Assassins Association. And throughout the game, you're trying to kill the top 10 best assassins. So to be able to actually go on an assassination, you have to go do a bunch of shitty chores. Like you have to go mow lawns and grab coconuts for like someone who buys them. So you have to earn money to go find out where the next assassin is. So between all the cool, fun Like you get to an area, you kill a bunch of dudes, and then you go beat the boss. You have to like mow lawns, and it's kind of a bummer. I don't. Not a lot of games do weird shit. Like they make the side missions are just side missions. You don't have to make them like the main part of the game. Did you ever play No More Heroes on the Wii?
No, this was like when my family had a Wii. Like we were youngins, you know. So our Wii was mostly used for like the most violent it got on the Wii in our house was like Brawl, you
Oh
know.
yeah. I think I saw the promotional stuff for this when it came out in like around 2007, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm like a sophomore in high school, and this game is so edgy, and it speaks to me as a otaku, and he's so cool, and we both have the same name of Travis, and he
Uh,
wears sunglasses and has a laser sword. But as it turns out, Travis Touchdown's kind of a dirtbag and a pervert. So, and they play with that the whole game. Like there's I'd say slightly underdressed women who Travis looks at, and it's kind of uncomfortable at this time. But
slightly
a
is
lot of anime does that too. It's a whole thing. And
yeah. I mean,
like
it's equally bad
Japan.
in anime. Like when I'm looking at the No More Heroes Paradise.
Oh, the PS3 version.
Yeah, PS3 art box. I'm like, I'd say this is a bit more than slightly undressed,
Yeah, let me take a look at that box art. Yes, you are
especially
right.
with this like quiet, like what is very clearly the inspiration for Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh yeah, black-haired military. Oh, she has grenades on her thigh, of course.
Yeah,
So the
not to
bottom right character with the straightened blonde hair, her name is Sylvia, and she's the one who's contracting you. So after you beat the 10th best assassin, you're going after the 9th one, and you basically get in a limousine with her, and she's like, "Hey, I need you to raise like $35,000 so I can go hire people to go find them, and then we'll clean up the body after. But I need you to give me this money," and then she kicks you out of the limousine, and then you're off. Then I had to go like punch coconut trees and give coconuts to like this dude who's just trying to sell them. I think the second game doesn't do as much, but I might buy that after because they're like $17 a piece on the Switch right now. The motion controls are still intact. If you want to use them, you can just flip the Joy-Cons. So you'll press like X to attack someone, and then you'll get a prompt to flip like both the Joy-Cons up or to the right, and you'll do like a stylish like finishing move on one guy. So if you're fighting mobs and you finish someone, it'll let you clear the other two guys if they're near you. So you can kind of use it to mash and beat multiple enemies at once. And you can turn them off and just do those on the analog stick. And then to recharge your beam saber, you kind of do this up and down motion with your Joy-Con, like you're shaking your laser sword, as one does, I guess. But it's cool. It's got some music, pixel art music. How do you say that? Kind of retro music.
yeah, like retro aesthetic.
Yeah. Even the map. Your map is just like a 16-bit map. It's really weird looking. But it's alright. And then I played some more Ghost of Tsushima Legends because the raid came out 2 days ago. But I accidentally broke down my 2 exotics, which I'm livid about, Austin. I'm fucking livid. I got one of the
Quick
rarest
stories.
katanas in the game, and there's nothing. I can't lock my weapons. Like in Destiny, you can lock your weapons so you can't break it down. And if you're trying to break down like your exotic, your super rare stuff, it takes like 10 seconds of you holding square down to break it down. And then you also have a vault in Destiny where you can rebuy your exotics. No, I just broke it down and I'm fucked. I have to go grind for it. Maybe I'll have to do like 10 missions, which each take like 20 minutes. See if I'll get it.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Good old loot games. It's okay. I'm mostly just playing it because my friends are playing it and it's kind of fun. And I got really good at it. like at the combat, because I've been playing it so much, and I went back in the story, and I'm like, man, I'm really good at just stabbing people with this katana. Perks. All right, tell me about the tabletops, Austin.
Already moving on to the tabletops.
Yeah.
Okay, so sort of regular D&D group. We meet, once a week to do. Well, we meet like 2 to 3 times a week to do some D&D sessions, like different campaigns and such. So we decided we were going to do something. We're going to do something for Halloween after one of our DMs contacted me and the other DM. They're like, "Hey, so who's running the Halloween game?" And after instantly deciding that I was not going to spend the time to make a Halloween session, I definitely didn't go onto my computer, go through like my itch.io folder of all the purchases I made from itch, and did not look at like all of the horror tabletop RPGs I own, and then decide to run one of those instead.
Anything
So
good?
yeah, no, there's a lot of really good stuff. Like if you're looking for good tabletop games that aren't like D&D, like there's a lot of really good stuff on itch. Among like the stuff I own, I'd say like what stands out is like something like a Sleepaway, um, Brinkwood, Beneath a Cursed Moon, and such. But the thing that we decided to run for the Halloween game was a game called The Dark Below by Anna Landin, in which which a guide and a group of players go through a large crypt underneath a sort of a fantasy city um, that they've been exiled into. So like they have all committed a crime in this city. There's a list of like the types of crimes that you can commit. Oh my god.
The dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, so the game like kind of gives you like a list of ideas of crimes that you could have committed, and these range from like an act of violence to like religious heresy, right? So like what's important to understand about the Dark Below is like within its game context, like it does not view criminality as any sort of moral judgment, right? Does not view like laws as um a sort of a way to define what morality looks like that some people do. Um and so that gives you space to create like really interesting characters. And I'd say like every character that was created at the table during this is technically a two-part session. During the session was really interesting. I think they were really cool. Um, Probably should have had my players like had like a bit of like a session zero, like a 30-minute session zero where we like made characters and such, but we were able to like get that done relatively easily in like a few minutes. So I guided I'd say about 6 players through this large crypt, and it was really interesting. I'm was excited to do this because like I am just at a point with D&D where I'm so tired
You're
of
just burnt
D&D
out, Austin. You just
in a
played
real way.
so much. Just play
I
Baldur's Gate instead. It's basically.
no Travis.
Huh?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like I've been so like immersed in D&D. Like I run a biweekly session. I'm in like at least 2 sessions weekly. Uh been playing like Baldur's Gate a lot. And it's just man, I'd really love to like regularly play something that's not D&D and like doesn't require that kind of like buy-in that D&D requires.
It takes a lot to play D&D too. Like I was also drinking while playing D&D, which ends up not being a good thing for my headaches. But I
Yeah.
play it for like 4 hours and get like a weird headache after. It's a lot. Maybe you shouldn't play D&D 3 times a week. I don't know. What
That's
if you
right.
play D&D 1 time a week, Austin? Doesn't
I
that
mean,
sound nice?
that's what it used to be, right? It used to just
Yeah.
be like a Thursday session that I ran, and then like when I went off to Lubbock for college, the players decided that they would start a new session that was kind of tied into the session to the campaign I was running, and then Wizards of the Coast released another D&D campaign setting, the Mystical Odysseys of Theros, which is a setting derived from Magic the Gathering, which they own. And now we just do 3 games. And it's not fun, but it is just a lot.
Now, are these 3 different games, or are you playing the same one but 3 times a week?
No, they're 3 different campaigns, right? So like I run the Thursday session and I play 2 different characters on the Tuesday, Friday sessions.
Interesting.
And it can just be a bit, but like getting to play like something like the Dark Below is really refreshing, because like the thing with Dark Below is you have like you have a pretty simple challenge ratings. Like you just roll a d12 and you can decide like whether or not like this is like a tough challenge or like a average challenge, which just affects how high they need to roll, how high your player needs to roll. They're also given like 3 chances or 3 opportunities to succeed, just to succeed a roll through the matches that they have, because when they're exiled, they're given 3 matches that they need to put on their character sheet, and those are a resource that they expend to either just automatically succeed a roll or negate the effects of rolling a natural 1.
Did you have fun playing?
Yeah, I
Did you
think we
enjoy
had
it?
fun. Yeah, no, I had fun guiding them through it. I had fun like making the rooms that they encountered and the like enemies that would wish them harm and the people that, not necessarily helping them, but like did not wish them harm, that type deal.
Okay. So in
It
your story of this tabletop RPG, tell me what happened. Give me the 4 minutes. What happened? What spooky stuff did y'all get into?
Well, the thing is, um I will say like a lot of like what I drew from is the supplemental material, Shades and Echoes, which is a creature and encounter supplement for the Dark Below that's available on the itch page for this game. So like they were forced down to the crypt. They met they went into a couple of rooms that provided like some brief challenges. I think I might have done not a great job of describing some of their challenges, because a few of the rooms they went into they saw and they just left, right? Because they did like see a way out. And I guess I was like, I guess I really just should have yelled out, "This is a puzzle," at my players. That only happened like twice.
Sounds
Um
like a bunch of saw traps, kind of too.
Not even like, I
Puzzle
wouldn't say
traps.
like nothing in the realm of saw traps.
Okay.
Um Nothing that like sadistic, because in the end of the day, like this is still, I think the Dark Below is still a game that reads to me as like you want your players to feel like they can get out, right? Like you don't want them to feel doomed within here. And you can have moments where they might feel doomed. Like we had a few because people started expending matches pretty like nonchalantly when they thought this was going to be a one shot, and then it turned out to be a 2-parter because we couldn't decide not to finish it and carried it over from Wednesday to Thursday.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah, and so like it felt kind of dire at times, I'll say, and sort of once it starts feeling a bit dire, I decided to take it upon myself to like lower some of the difficulties that they were facing. And so they're like, they were chased through these catacombs by like a rogue magistrate that's like haunted by what they saw in the Dark Below. They met like someone who had eked out a sort of life. They met children who had been cast out of here and into the crypts. Um, they sort of began to. There's one of my players did sort of start like becoming someone who I didn't think was going to want to leave the Dark Below. But once they got to the end, and we decided, and the thing about this is once you get to the end of the Dark Below, it becomes a conversation. So more so than like me as a guy deciding how it ends, group talked about the ending that we thought would manifest here. And so they did get out of the Dark Below. Everyone made it out alive, relatively unharmed. And then the character who I thought was going to stay in the Dark Below decided that he was going to begin plotting his revenge against the government that had cast him into the crypt in the first place. Thankfully, though, the Dark Below has nothing to sort of carry the game past exiting the crypt. So we had a brief narration of what that would look like, and then that was the end.
Some good resolutions. What? Man, that sounds pretty cool. I'm looking at this HIO page. $10. Kind of into it.
Yeah. And I will say, if you or anyone listening, if y'all bought the bundle, there's the big Black Lives Matter bail fund bundle that was on itch in mid-June in response to the protests that were going on at the time. It's in that bundle, right? So if you paid $5 for that bundle, you own this game.
Nice. Well, sounds like a pretty cool game, and we're gonna take our first break, and we'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Third Coast Gaming Radio. And over the break, me and Austin were looking at some memes, and it was really bad. Metal Gear Solid 2 memes, they're weird.
Yeah.
Can't procrastinate any longer. Hey, I wanna talk about the November games really quickly, about what's coming out.
Two games that are coming out in November.
Yeah, and then a bunch of the PS5 and Series S and Series X stuff. So I'll kind of go through them. I'm not going to repeat too much stuff, but I think it looks like Feria is coming out on PlayStation 4. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's by wow, I already stumped myself, Austin. I already stumped myself. It's a
Start over.
digital collectible card game. I don't know who makes it. But Jurassic World Evolution on Switch, Dirt 5 on PlayStation 4 and Xbox, November 6th. So I'm going to do these in chronological. That Need for Speed Hot Pursuit remaster is coming out. We're getting a Paw Patrol game, Austin. You ever watch Paw Patrol? You have cousins who love Paw Patrol?
No, I can't say I do.
I guess I've heard of it through one Vinny Caravella and one Jeff Bakalar off a Giant Bomb and CNET. They've just talked about their kids loving Paw Patrol. Tropico 6 is coming out on Switch. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is November 10th. And that's PlayStation 4, Series X, Xbox One, Stadia, PC. I think it's coming to PS5 later is what they were saying.
Yeah, because PS5, well, the thing is PS5 releases on November 12th.
Yeah.
So Xbox Series X comes out on the 10th, and PlayStation 5 is going to come out on the 12th. And that's why this is listed twice.
Yeah. And then there's Borderlands 3, Series X, Series X. So yeah, I guess I'll just combine the stuff that's coming out on both. I'm guessing Dead by Daylight's probably going to be on both. Destiny 2, November 10th. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, also November 10th, which is their DLC, which if you have Game Pass, you can just download it for free, which is nice. DMC 5 Special Edition. Fortnite, obviously. Forza Horizon 4. Is that the new Forza Horizon, or is that the old one?
I think
that's the old one.
I think it's an old one because there's a review attached to this listing on GameInformer.com.
Yeah, it's the 2018. Gears Tactics. Grounded. Let's see. NBA 2K21. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Sakuna of Rise and Rice. Of Rice and Ruin. They just look so much. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to get into that. Watch Dogs Legion is coming out November 10th for Series X, Series S. I think that's coming out for the regular consoles. I think it's already out for regular consoles. Do you want to check that for me real fast?
Yeah, I'll see what Watch Dogs Legions.
Okay. And yeah, the Series S and Series X is November 10th, whereas the PS5 was November 12th.
Yeah, PS5 comes out November 12th.
Bug Snacks, Demon Souls, both November 12th, the launch games. Bug Snacks is on PlayStation Plus for PS5. Let's see. A bunch of the stuff that we were talking about for Series X is coming out, being re-released. Spider-Man Miles Morales coming to PS5 and PS4 on November 12th. Let's see. Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is the platformer Sackboy game. It's by Sumo Digital. Kind of into that. It looks cool. Black Ops Cold War is coming out November 13th for Call of Duty. That dumb Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, which is like a rhythm Kingdom Hearts game. That's I'll wait for the reviews, and if it's got the good shit, maybe I'll give Square more of my money for Kingdom Hearts crap.
Okay, so it
Simple
doesn't
Mark.
look like it doesn't. I don't think Legion's out on PS4. I think it comes out pretty soon, though. Like, I think a few days before it does on the next generation.
Its initial release date was October 29th. Yeah, then the
Yeah, but I'm not
PlayStation-
seeing like I'm still getting pre-order pages. Is the thing,
Okay.
right? Like I'm not getting like if you go onto Amazon to look at Watch Dogs Legion PS4, it's like the earliest date I can get it is like November 5th.
Oh yeah, that's because of their weird shipping stuff. So they're like, hey, this will ship to you by November 5th. That's weird.
And
I think you can buy it digitally right now. That's what I heard over the weekend.
I have no idea. If only there was a PlayStation. Well, now the PlayStation app's also going to be giving me PS5 stuff.
Yep.
Man, it's wild.
Yeah, it's
right
wild.
now.
2 consoles
tracking
kind of
this
running
shit
at the same time.
Sucks.
Yeah. All right. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity is November 20th. Katamari Damacy Reroll on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on November 20th. I think that's just a remake of the first game.
Probably just a re-release. I don't know if it's a remake.
Because they made like an HD version of that first game already on some console. I remember it was on Switch, I think. Maybe it was a demo I was playing. But yeah, it's just updated graphics, probably better HD version. I'm into rolling stuff on balls. Just Dance 2021, November 24th.
Okay, Watch Dogs Legion for PS4 is out right.
Confirmed.
I'm on the PlayStation app. It is giving me the option to buy.
Third Coast Gaming Radio exclusive right here is Watch Dogs Legion is available right now.
God, what a mess.
World of Warcraft Shadowlands is November 23rd. I hear people are disappointed with those. World of Warcraft releases lately. Maybe from what I hear, Final Fantasy 14, much more fun. And Vigor on November 25th for PlayStation 4. I don't even, just some World War II game, maybe. All right. Hey, that's the list of games. Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think I missed, but that's November 10th for Series X and Series S. And then PlayStation 4 is March 2nd. So yeah, it's Xbox exclusive for now, which they have been doing those deals with Microsoft. Like a bunch of those Yakuza games are just on Game Pass. Even though I think Kiwami 1 and 2 came out on PlayStation first. Wild times, Austin. Wild times. Who puts out
It turns
Yakuza
out
Sega,
keeping track of 6 platforms at once is not great.
Oh man, did you see these updated Nilfgaard armor photos for The Witcher yet?
Oh no, God, don't do this to me.
I got into this. IGN was like, "Hey man, you probably like The Witcher. You should look at this Nilfgaard armor." I was like, "All right," I clicked it. It looks cool. It's got some shoulders.
I mean, it looks better.
Yeah, it does look better.
Like, this is, I will say, significantly improved. And this is just, the problem is this is just like Kahir, though, this character. It's like, this is a named character with like a purpose. This could just be this character's armor from this photo.
It's true. It's true.
Of course,
I wonder if
now
there's
I'm
more photos in this. Who knows?
opening. Now I'm opening Redanian Intelligence,
Same.
a fan site.
They've got
Okay,
the
so we're,
intel on The Witcher. You know what I'm saying?
okay, so there's
I'm gonna hit that follow
another
button.
another guard because it looks like he's talking to. I want to say this character is like Francella Vigo.
Man,
Uh,
this is like the perfect fan page for Austin Taylor to follow.
yeah, so like this looks like he's walking away from a conversation, or like this is the actress who plays Francella. Maybe I don't remember much of that first season.
I need to
Um,
watch it again.
you probably don't.
I do. I like it, Austin. I'm sorry. I'm not
But yeah,
sorry.
this
It's a good season. It's
this armor looks
fight.
better than like the weird trash bags they were wearing.
It's true. Okay. On to the next stuff. They showed off. I don't know if you watched the trailer. It was the Spider's Verse suit for Spider-Man Miles Morales, and it kind of turns the game into like the same kind of frame rate that the movie was, which is like a lowered. It looks very stylized. How would you describe the frame rate dipping?
Dope. But
Yeah.
so like what happens is like this is Miles, right? This is only Miles whose like frame rate is like dipping in this way. So like the trick with the Into the Spider-Verse is everyone is animated the normal, like every Spider-Man except for Miles is animated at like the I think like the standard like 24 frames it is in film, right? Like everyone's on the same frame rate except for Miles for most of that movie until he like becomes Spider-Man. So for most of that movie, I think he's actually moving at like half the frame rate of every other Spider-Man he encounters throughout Spider-Verse, and they kind of did that same thing here with Miles Morales in the video game.
Yeah, and it's like you can see the frames is what I would say. You can see them a lot more like where it's not as smooth, but it's purposefully
Yeah,
slowed down. It looks really cool.
yeah, like
There's
it
like a
looks,
4K version on YouTube that's pretty sick looking.
yeah, like it looks pretty like. I mean, it looks a bit strange considering how like air quote like normal this New York is, right? Like this is not a New York that has like that same style aesthetic
Yeah, like
as
bathed in kind of neon too.
yeah, as Spider-Verse and like moving in that same way. I just man, of course now I'm looking
It'd probably look better at night, is what I'll say. It's during the day right now, and it kind of stands out.
it's gonna look so good at night.
Yeah,
This game's gonna oh god,
I'm
I
gonna
wish
buy
they
this
made
one.
the whole game look like this is the thing, right? Like there's a part of me that knows it'd be so much harder to
Yeah,
do, but like what if the whole game looked like
yeah.
I'd be so into it.
Is that like that Ghost of Tsushima mode? We'll just call it the Miller mode for Spider Verse. What's the Black Kurosawa mode? You know what I'm saying?
The Kurosawa mode from Tsushima. Yeah, but like not that, right? Like so like I don't think like a filter would do it. I think there's so much about like the way that people move in Spider-Verse. You'd have to completely change so much about this game from like its just general aesthetics to the way
Yeah,
people move. Um it would be a huge change, but like it looks so much better. But I think
true.
something that this like 11-minute video, like the 11-minute debut video they did for this illustrates, I think is interesting, is the fact that Miles is like trying to network as Spider-Man through an app. Um, like at the very end of this video, like he's talking to an EMT, and the EMT is like, "Hey, I'm gonna download that Spider-Man app you got, so that
Huh.
way you can better, I guess, navigate or like network among people in New York."
That'll
Uh,
Nobody will ever track down him at all with that app. You
yeah.
know?
Well, it looks like considering what pops up, it looks like this is something that he and his friend, I forget the name of his friend, uh, that Miles has.
And the
This is
mini
something that
map is just his phone screen too.
yeah, he and his friend are doing. Yeah, and I think that's so much better than like what the first game did, which is have Peter go around New York and fix like police comm towers so
Yeah,
they can better monitor the city of New York.
yeah.
Um,
What was the Dark Knight thing?
Yeah, the Dark Knight
Patriot
thing
Act,
is,
Dark Knight,
yeah,
Batman.
like Patriot Act, the phones, and the Dark Knights. Like you can track everyone through phones, and that's like a pretty similar thing that you do with the cops in like the first Spider-Man game. But like the conceit there is that like you need this to map out New York, which is a whole thing that I think is really bad for in that PS in the last Spider-Man game, despite the fact I like pretty much the rest of that game a lot.
Yeah, like in
Um,
an ideal society, that probably is something that like is a normal idea, but I don't. It's
well, I mean, it's
who has
just like,
control of you. One entity shouldn't have that much control over like information.
yeah, and the other thing here is like this is specifically the NYPD,
Yeah,
which is a pretty corrupt, pretty shitty police force. That like in like during the protests for racial against racial injustice, like in mid-June, like we saw videos of like NYPD officers attempting to run over protesters, um, and like otherwise disperse crowds through like various brutal means. Uh, so like fuck the NYPD,
yeah.
and the fact that like Spider-Man, like within like this PS4 game, Spider-Man has like such like a buddy relationship with cops.
Which I
Like
understand why they did
sucks.
that. It'd be a weird. It'd be better for them to not include that instead of like taking a side on it. Because by making, even though games say this game's not political, when you make a something like that, it kind of stands out as being like, hey, Spider-Man works with the cops because the cops are good, which is a normal like trope of Spider-Man, but it's like it in the time that it came out, which was like 2018, 2019. Even now, it's kind of a weird thing. You're like, oh, you look at that and you're like, that's kind of weird. Hey, if you want to look up more New York City Police Department corruption, there's a whole Wikipedia page on it for the listeners. Let me show you this. It's just a list of stuff, Austin.
Yeah, like of course, like it's all like public knowledge. It just New York City Police Department is shit. But like what they're doing with uh Spider-Man Miles Morales is, I think, a much better idea.
Yeah.
I think is like genuinely interesting, and um I want to see how this is like. This to me is the most interesting thing about this video. uh cool suit aside, um I'm interested in seeing how that develops like throughout.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I think I'm into it. On to the next one. I think we kind of missed this as it was happening last week on Wednesday, but the Halo Infinite director left after the project delay. I think originally they were saying that they had brought on lead producer Mary Olson for the story and Joe Staten. No, it's Joe Staten for the single player and Pierre Hines for the multiplayer. After,
Yeah, Olsen was the last project lead for Lee.
yeah,
So like Olsen left, Lee took over. They brought in Joe Staten to handle the single player campaign. Um, and yeah, then there's still multiplayer still being led by what looks like the name Pierre Hintz.
yeah. So I think from what I was hearing and the way I was reading these articles, it sounded like that Chris Lee kind of so he left after the delay, after it was going to be released in 2021 instead of this holiday, and Lee was talking to Drayton Schreier over at Bloomberg News. And here's the quote: "As I've stepped back from Infinite and I'm looking at future opportunities. I believe in the team and am confident they will deliver a great game. And now is a good time for me to step away." So I think he's kind of passing the torch and letting Joe Staten and Pierre Hines kind of finish it as they come in. What do you think?
I mean, I think this is now like the third project director. Like this is like a third like high level manager that's left this project.
It's kind of
Um,
strange. It's kind of strange.
well, I mean, it's just a lot, right? Like this has like been a super at best like turbulent development. Um,
Which
I
it kind of happens a lot during, as we've seen from Halo 2 and Halo 3. Halo 2 didn't come out complete, and I don't know. What am I
Yeah,
trying
it's
to say?
just it's. I mean, it's wild. I hope. Um, I hope this game comes out and it's good, right? Like in the end of the day, like I hope that like the effort and like really weird headlines that this game is pulling across its development like don't are not indicative of like a product that people are pouring like hundreds of hours into that will like be unappreciated and unloved by the people they're making it for.
I think it'll be appreciated. You know, it's even Halo 5, as weird as those reviews are coming out. I've been appreciating it a lot, and I think even the Xbox One being behind caused not a lot of people to be talking about Halo when it was coming out on the
Mhm.
Xbox One stuff. But I think this game, as what they're saying, is it's mostly done. They're this is my spitballing in the dark. I'm pretty sure they're probably 75% done with it, and they're just trying to fix it to get to 2021 so that doesn't launch in a broken state.
Maybe. I mean,
That's
I
what I'm
guess like
guessing.
if you're mostly doing like fix up work, like I don't know why you leave the project. And I don't want to read too far into like why Chris Lee left the project. I think that's kind of an unknown. It's like that's an unknown that's just gonna like stay that way until like it comes out later that he's like the head of uh, some other like big Xbox initiative. Like if he were to like be attached onto like Game Pass stuff or like their handling of like the Bethesda acquisition or some such thing.
Yeah, and I think one of the main controversies that were coming out after the Halo Infinite stuff is that it looked more like an Xbox One game than like a Series X game. Because I'm watching this gameplay, and it really does look current gen more.
Yeah,
So that might be something. That might be them tuning up the other one. Well, you know, when this game comes out, we'll probably have 6 months where people are going to be talking about the development.
yeah.
Maybe a
Well,
while after. I remember they were
yeah,
talking about Destiny a lot. Like Jason Schreier got a lot of good information about the troubled development cycle of Destiny 1 with like how Activision was trying to get them to meet their release dates and how Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 both were like incompleted campaigns.
yeah. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, of course, the other thing with Halo is like, yeah, like it looks Infinite looks current gen, but that's like because like they're optimizing it for like the Series X, but like this is um I think in a real way like a current gen game. Like they want this to work on the Xbox One.
Yeah. And on to the next set of news. Far Cry 6 got delayed, unless you had anything else to say about Halo Infinite.
No, I mean, aside from, I just hope it's good. Oh, I need to go let the pig in real quick.
Okay, cool. I'll talk about Halo Infinite while you're away real fast. Not Halo Infinite, Far Cry 6. Yes. So Far Cry 6 was initially going to be a February 2021 game, and it looks like Ubisoft is pushing Far Cry 6 and Rainbow Six Quarantine as late as 2022. And I think this was from its earning call. So, you know, obviously, a lot of these delays that are coming out is because of the COVID-19 crisis and how development is challenged to, you know, people working at home. It's very difficult right now, you know? So, Valhalla's coming out, and they got Immortals, Phoenix Rising. So, I think they're going to work with those, making sure they're good. And we'll see when they come out. And, you know, they just put out Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft got a lot of plates spinning, you know?
Yeah, they want to. They want people to be talking about something that is not, rampant harassment
Yeah, Ubisoft's got problems. I
going
don't.
on throughout that company.
Hopefully they'll restructure it.
Oh, I doubt they will, at least
Yeah.
in any way meaningful. Like, Yves is still definitely going to have his job there.
If nobody knows what you're talking about, you mind summarizing it real quick?
Yeah.
One of the CEOs got let go for misconduct, right?
Yeah, like it started with one of the CEOs being having reports of misconduct made against him, and like several and more, and uh, like it started with like basically like one of the top. No, I don't. Oh, dang it, Bloomberg. I
Here's
went
the
up.
Verge article.
Yeah, I went up
Ubisoft
Bloomberg.
survey reveals that 25% of employees have seen or experienced workplace misconduct.
Yeah, so like that is. I was okay. I was looking for that so I could cite it because I'd heard it stated earlier that like 1 in 5 employees have experienced like some form of misconduct at Ubisoft.
Yeah. And
Um,
this is from an anonymous survey that went out to 14,000 employees,
yeah, which is just
according to that article, of course.
yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, they want us to think about literally anything else though.
Yeah, and they won't even discuss it in their like press release stuff. When they like this news came out and then they were having their like trailers for stuff, and I think they had been talking about this kind of thing before, like during E3 too, and they were just going as usual, you know.
Yeah, so like like their whole thing is that they want to be business as usual in every way. So before the Ubisoft Forward event, what they did was they published a separate video where Yves Guillemot address the situation a little, right? Like he discussed it a bit, and he said like, oh, they're going to be taking steps to fix this. The usual corporate jargon. Nothing particularly solid in any way, shape, or form. And it was said after the Ubisoft Forward event that they would like stitch that video onto the VOD. They didn't, right? And so like the only real like evidence that we have that they even address is like a couple minute video Touch's putting out on like Twitter.
Yeah, it's real weird. You know, we'll see if they end up doing anything or if they just sweep it under the rug. But apparently there's this other article is coming out more on the backwards compatibility with the PS5 from PS4 games. So it seems like Ubisoft's new statement is they're unsure if Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the Assassin's Creed Chronicles trilogy pack, which is India, China, Russia, Risk, Star Trek Bridge Crew, Werewolves Within, and Space Junkies. They're unsure if they're going to be if they're going to work with PS5 as like these PS4 versions of these games. And Star Trek Bridge Crew and Space Junkies are VR titles, as well as the Werewolves Within. Werewolves Within is a cool like Avalon type game where you're playing like who's the bad guy kind of stuff. So we'll
Yeah.
see if something happens with those. Which I'm kind of bummed out because I really want to beat Syndicate at some point, and I think the PS5 would be a cool way to play that.
Yeah. The thing is, they took this list down, right? This list is no longer up, and they said they're gonna have a correct list
Yeah.
sometime this week, considering that this Verge story with this was published on the 30th. So maybe sometime this week they'll have like an updated list. And I think it's really strange that like Syndicate is a game that might not work on the PS5, considering like it is like technically a mainline Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I don't know if there's some back end thing that just doesn't work with it. It is, 20. It is a 5-year-old game. I think
Yeah,
it was the second one to come out on the PS that generation because Unity and then
yeah, it
Syndicate was
was
after.
Unity then Syndicate.
Well, got my Genshin Impact article of the month or the week, Austin. The mobile version still making money. People are weird in the gotcha games. The top grossing mobile games between September 28th and October 27th is 245 million for Genshin Impact. Pokemon Go still making money, 122 million, which I'm surprised people put money into that, but people who
That's
stick
not bad.
with it are usually interfacing with it. I've been hearing very bad predatory things coming from the gacha gambling from that. Have you ever heard of the YouTuber called Mtashed?
No.
So he was covering. He's a Destiny YouTuber. That's why I know of him. And it had come out that he was playing. He was covering a lot of Genshin Impact, and he kind of had like an emotional. I wouldn't call it a breakdown, but he put out a video saying that he had put $4,000 into Genshin Impact to kind of to learn about how the roles work and to get stuff. But he put out a video saying how he's quitting his account that he had put. I think the estimate in the video that he was saying was he put about $4,000 into it to get a bunch of these really good roles. And he just wants to go free to play because he doesn't want to promote gambling or the gacha system that this game uses as its main monetization because it's predatory. So let me see. He has one of these. He's getting a bunch of these videos are. Yeah, here it is. He has like one of his videos is 1.8 million views, and he has like a 25 top tips on Genshin Impact, which has like 1.2 million views. So a lot of people are playing Genshin. Obviously, like it's a very popular thing.
Yeah. So like I don't know. I don't think much of Genshin's gacha. Like I also haven't like sat with it. Certainly have not put $4,000 into that. But like if Genshin's gacha system makes you uncomfortable, why like does every game with a loot box make you uncomfortable? Because it should.
Yeah.
It's all like equally predatory stuff. It's the same like system. And the idea that like we're making like a big fuss about Genshin's gacha is a bit weird to me.
And it's close enough to like I'm going to use Fortnite as an example because they're both colorful games that can be geared towards kids instead. But I think a lot of the gacha elements in Genshin are you're rolling for characters instead of cosmetics. Like Fire Emblem Heroes on mobile does this a lot too, where you're trying to roll for these 5-star characters or these 5-star weapons. So I don't know. It sounds like he was not having a good time, and I'm just trying to be supportive of that because it sounds like a bad time. But I agree with you. That loot boxes in general are like I've sank money into Destiny trying to get an item, and I was like, this is a waste of fucking money. It's addicting. I don't know. That's what kind of talking about.
It's just it's weird. It's a weird situation with Genshin. I don't think it's as new. Like it's certainly like predatory practices in like in-game purchases are not new. This just happens to be like a game that is super popular because it is like it's selling us like a slightly more anime like Breath of the
Yeah, and
like
obviously
on its face.
most of these mobile games that are making that much money. I mean, to make 245 million, or even for Pokemon Go to make like 122 million in a month is crazy.
I mean, and the thing to note here is like Pokemon Go's been out for like, years. So like when that dropped, I'm sure that was making like significantly more than
Oh yeah.
what it made last month. And I just
It's a
I
weird
I
time.
don't
Like
know.
EA is facing has a class action suit going on right now. I can't remember if it's for the Ultimate Team loot box or if it's something else. I saw someone talking about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like we have like the shit that they put in like FIFA and Madden has always, or like in like in NBA games, it's always seemed just as predatory to me as like
Yeah,
what I'm seeing in Genshin right now.
true. And I'm not trying to say Genshin is doing something new in this. I'm just saying in general that it's all of it. Yeah. So EA is being sued in Canada for loot boxes in a class action lawsuit, and I think it was the that Ultimate Team. Let me take a look. See if I can Google this for because this kind of came up and I was remembered talking about it. Canada. Yeah, it's for the class action lawsuit covers FIFA and yes, FIFA. Yeah, for the Ultimate Team, which is you're buying like card packs that have the players in them. So, we're seeing pushback against the loot box stuff. Hopefully something happens with it. I know there was Hawaii was talking about it for a while.
Yeah, and that was, I think, Hawaii getting involved.
2018.
Yeah, so the government of Hawaii being involved in this like is a direct result of EA's Battlefront 2.
Which is bad. Like that's a Star Wars game that a lot of people are gonna get, and that's like that whole game's like this was pre-release. Obviously they changed it when it came out. It still had the loot boxes, but originally you were like paying to get better weapons and stuff, which is where a lot of the controversy was coming out of that. So yeah, loot boxes are weird, Austin.
Yeah.
They should fix them.
Yeah, it turns out we probably just shouldn't interact with them at all.
Yeah.
Wild. It's not like people have been saying this since like since like 13 now.
No, but this is the first time we're kind of talking about it, so I thought I'd take a little longer to dip into it. Hope you don't mind.
No, it's good. It's just like, I mean specifically like games press, right? Like I don't mean like us and the podcast. I mean
It's
like
true.
as like games discourse. Like this has been a thing people were talking about well before like even like Overwatch arrived. It's like, oh, you can only get like cosmetics through these loot boxes, like even with stuff like the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, people were talking about loot boxes.
Yeah. All that good stuff. Well, speaking of big companies doing stuff, Sony's looking like they're trying to close in on buying Crunchyroll for about $1 billion. Which Sony is a Japanese company, that would make sense to get the Japanese anime streaming service. That's one of the most popular ones. Currently, they're owned by AT&T. So
Yeah,
that'd be
this is.
interesting.
I mean, I think it's a smart move, all
Yeah,
things considered.
very
To like
close to
have a
Disney
yeah,
buying Star Wars, but it's anime instead.
to have a more, I'd say, a more well-known like anime distributors and like Funimation.
Yeah, which
Uh,
Sony does own Funimation right now, and Funimation has DBZ, Attack on Titan, Fullmetal Alchemist, One Piece.
yeah, and like I'd be interested to see like what Sony would do with Crunchyroll like as a service, because like now you have the like just do people with like PlayStation Plus get a Crunchyroll account or like get benefits to Crunchyroll, that sort of thing.
That'd be interesting because
Like
I already pay for Crunchyroll and PS Plus right now.
yeah, like I don't have a Crunchyroll account, and that's like partially because I'm just not that like into anime.
Yeah, I gotcha. Oh, to quick fix. Mtashed spent $7,000, not $4,000, on his. I would call that his coverage on the game because he said he made that $7,000 back in one video that had like 1 million views. That's what he was talking about. But
Good
anyway,
for good for him.
yeah, he feels bad about it though, so that's why he's talking about it. But yeah, it'd be interesting that Japan is focusing on stuff that their own country. Obviously anime is very big in America, but I think it's still more mainstream in Japan. So I'm curious how that'll work out if I just get it for free with my PS Plus. I usually only watch Crunchyroll when like there's an anime I'm trying to get through. Like I don't think I've watched Crunchyroll in 4 months, but I still pay for it because it's only like $6 a month, and I'm like, just support the anime. Support it.
Yeah, and no, like I just as anime like continues to become like very like anime is already like here in the U.S. Like as it continues to like just rise in popularity here, I think it's a smart move to pick up a dedicated streaming platform that already has a pretty large. My understanding is pretty large subscriber base.
How much did Microsoft pay for Bethesda? Was it $4 billion?
Yeah, it's about 4.
So that tracks. Sony's making moves too. They're getting in the streaming stuff because they kind of have their games already locked down. I mean, as they get more money, they'll probably lock down other stuff. It's going to be a race to see who gets the services because that's where you can get money is off of services.
No, it was 7.5 billion.
Oh yeah, 7.5.
Yeah. 4
Who
was the
paid?
Star Wars acquisition.
Yeah. Was the Star Wars one 4?
Yeah, it's Disney's purchase of Star Wars is about 4 billion.
All right. Well, let's get into the lightning round. Austin, are you ready for the lightning round? Let's go to the lightning round.
I don't know if we're allowed to do
All right, so the first one I'll hit is we were talking about this a little bit before, but there's a couple Watch Dogs Legion reviews that were coming out. It's sitting at an 8 on IGN. I'm curious what GameSpot has it at. But have you listened to any like coverage of Watch Dogs Legions yet?
Yeah, I've watched. I
Like
listened
Austin
to.
Walker put out a good video on it, or
Yeah,
article
so
talking about it too.
yeah, so like I read most of Austin Walker's review for Vice Games. I listened to the Waypoint Radio episode that was published on Friday, which is a discussion about Legion between Walker, Vice or Motherboard writer Matthew Galt and Vice Games editor Rob Zachney. Discuss the game and everything sort of surrounding that, and that's about the extent of the coverage that I've immersed myself in. I don't really like based off of what they were saying both on the podcast and Austin in his review. I've not particularly thought it to be worth my time to investigate any more of Watch Legion.
Yeah, I've been looking at it, and I'm just like, I haven't beaten Watch Dogs 2 yet, and the characters. It's much more of a character story in Watch Dogs 2, where it's like these kids are trying to do some fun hacking stuff, and then they stumble into a bigger conspiracy or a bigger threat. But the thing that Watch Dogs Legion I've been seeing is doing differently is, as I was kind of listening to the Giant Bombcast, where like Jeff Gersman and Brad Shoemaker were talking about it, where it's more of a sim where you have these characters that you can recruit because there's no central protagonist in Watch Dogs Legion. You have kind of like you can kind of rotate out and pick up new people who have different abilities, but all these people in the city are kind of leading their own lives and have a set routine. And as you do things, like if you choke someone out, maybe later on they'll be like, oh, this person remembered that you choked them out and you can't recruit them. And then there's certain like police officers or like pro militia people, because the militia has taken over London, which is the thing of Legion, and that they're
Yeah,
trying to overthrow it because they took over for the police. So they're in like a police state, and there's rioting, which weird time to come out right now too.
I should say they're in a different police state.
Yeah. And it's kind of set in the future too. It's a little farther ahead because like there's drone you can fly. There's giant drones you can like fly around on. But back to the sim thing is that there's a lot of these gears turning in the background as you're kind of picking up new characters. And it seems interesting, but from what I've heard, the story isn't as interesting as the other stuff because you're just kind of getting generic story stuff where, hey, go hack into this and go do this Grand Theft Auto style like mission where you get to point A to point B, you drive there and you go do the mission, you leave. And it's not, and the characters don't really carry forward the same like emotional like resonance that like Watch Dogs 2 had.
No. I would, yeah. The thing with like Legion is it seems like there's this simulation going on with like all of these characters that you can like potentially recruit and interact with. It just seems like it's very easy to get to like the edges of this simulation and make it just to where it interacts with things in a really awkward way. Like on Waypoint Radio, Austin Walker was like talking about a scene where in the story of this game you need to recruit a police officer uh, for some narrative, and one of the DedSec people, like one of the story like based DedSec people he was taught that you have starting out, brought like took aside the character that Austin was playing as and complained to him about working with cops now, right? Saying something along the lines of like, are we working with cops now? This is going to be the end of our movement. The thing is when this happened, Austin Walker was playing as a cop, right? So it forms this really like weird thing where you can tell this is procedural because like this woman is complaining to a cop about another cop, and it's not being addressed in any way, right? There's at no point in time I heard anything about this game like interacting with these like in these like possibility spaces in a way that is like interesting or doesn't show like the limitations that they were allowed to have within the sim space. Because if you look at like E3 like coverage of this when it was first announced, like I think there is more like character focused class. I don't want to say like air quote like class systems at play that you can see within the UI, and it doesn't seem like what we currently have in Legions that. It seems a bit more limited in that way.
Yeah.
And so I think like the thing with what everyone at Waypoint was saying that I've sort of found interesting is that when they got this game, they were given like a review guide, which is generally speaking with like big games like Watch Dogs Legion and others of its ilk in that AAA space, they'll be given like guides for review, uh, where they'll be like where PR people and devs will suggest like you that they play these missions, yada yada, and like give them like guidance on how to get through certain parts of the game, all that stuff. Um, there's one of in that guide, there's a note from like the director of Watch Dogs Legion that explains that they didn't make a protagonist for this game or a main character because they believe that within this game's world, the only way to incite change is through collective action. And I would say the central thesis of what like of Walker's review and what the folks over at Waypoint Radio were saying is that Ubisoft has like definitely fallen short of that experiment, of that desire to express the complicated nature of collective action and in general like why it's more important than say the deeds of a singular person.
Yeah. I think that's pretty interesting. Is that similar enough to like the idea of like a ludonarrative dissonance where it's like you have this character who has their well, I guess that'd be different.
Yeah, the Ludo narrative is like
It's like an Uncharted where Nathan Drake's a cool guy, but he kills like 1,000 people, you know?
yeah, it's just like the game. It is like not reconciling like story with gameplay more so than anything. I
Yeah.
don't think
Which I think
Watch Dogs Legion's gonna have that same problem.
no, but I think it's similar enough to where it's like you have this I guess it would be just dissonance between wanting to have a story told by a lot of people and then your player urgency and kind of like all the cutscenes doesn't matter who you're playing as, they're all talking to you as if you're the same character.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like I became pretty suspicious of like how successful Legion was going to be in this when they announced like I think like the second E3 trailer and they had gameplay and it turned out that like DedSec in this game not is being guided by an AI called like Bigby or something. I don't
God, I
know the
hope
name of
it's
the
still not being led by an AI. That's the dumbest thing.
there's still an AI that's like helping you manage. I don't think it's leading y'all. I think it's like supposed to be just the interface you use to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
It turns out that AI is like some off-network like spin-off of the AI that's currently running London, basically.
Okay.
Um, it's it's weird. I'm not particularly excited about it. I don't think I'll mess around with Legion anytime soon.
I think my plan is to beat Watch Dogs 2 and see if Ubisoft ever comes out with like their EA Access or Game Pass type thing. I know they have it right now for PC. You can pay them, it's probably like 10 a month to download the PC version of that. But if it comes out, I'd like to mess around in London a little bit and just do some open world stuff. But I'm not as drawn to the story because it sounds like it's a little weird. It might be cooler than the preview coverage is talking about, but so far it just sounds generic enough for the actual story missions. It's still just we've done it already in Watch Dogs 1 and 2, so I'm hoping there's a little push there.
And that's also the other thing with like Legion is they talk about not wanting to like cast a main protagonist, right? But like the first bit of DLC for this game is Aiden Pierce. Is you're gonna get to play as the protagonist from the first Watch Dogs game,
Oh,
Aiden Pierce.
weird. Okay, it's Uplay Plus now, and it's $15 a month. So I don't know. I'd pay $15 one month just to play Watch Dogs. Yeah, Watch Dogs Legion is on there along with a bunch of other stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it used so I don't give Ubisoft any of my money until they sort their shit out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Well, this other we're still in lightning round, but I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a little more to say about that than I thought we did, but
we should really look up the definition of lightning round
yeah, that's
before the
true.
next episode.
Well, there's a Nintendo Mini Direct that came out. That also came out on Wednesday. That's when we got the news about those No More Heroes 1 and 2 ports were coming out, and that Control was on the cloud gaming for Switch.
Yeah,
It looks like No More Heroes 3 was also in that direct. They showed some gameplay off for it, and it looks like you're running around in like the solar system instead, beating space bosses, which was kind of neat. It's gonna be a 2021 Switch exclusive. I'm kind of into the zany hijinks of No More Heroes, so I'll play it begrudgingly.
yeah. Didn't they just released a No More Heroes game on Switch, right?
Yes, it was like a top down No More Heroes
Travis
Travis
Strikes
Strikes
Back,
Again. And it was like a kind
or
of a
yeah,
weird mix of like arcade type stuff, like throwback kind of like to other games. And I think they were kind of gauging what people were thinking of No More Heroes with Travis Strikes Again.
yeah.
Maybe to bridge the gap between 2 and 3. I don't know. I didn't play it because I was like, oh, it's not No More Heroes 3, so I'll just wait. It seems neat.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a bundle, I'll pick it up with them. And then the other things that were coming out of the mini direct where they were talking more about Hyrule Warriors and are they talking about Pikmin 3 in that? Or did Pikmin 3 come
I'm
out already?
I'm not seeing that roundup in the roundup here.
So
There's like
Pikmin. Oh, it's a related article. I'm sorry. They were talking about
yeah,
Bravely Default 2 and this we is this a mobile game? Story of Seasons?
story of season.
Do you see that?
It
It's like the second thing. It's like chibi looking. It looks like a Harvest Moon kind of thing. So
it looks like it could have been. I don't.
oh, you're chopping down trees and getting wood.
Yeah. So I
Picking
think there have been story of seasons games before. This seems like a follow up to something. Uh,
it's a lot of crops.
yeah.
Who even puts this game out? Interesting.
I have not.
I'm gonna look up this game and see who develops it because it just looks like a Harvest Moon but with some extra crafting stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's
I
not Sune. It's the people who make the Harvest Moon games.
All right.
I guess maybe that's the. I wonder if that's the Japanese title of Harvest Moon. Is just no. They discontinued the licensing of Harvest Moon in 2012, so they are making the same games, but they're calling it Story of Seasons instead. That's a weird get, I guess. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. No, they discontinued. So the developers of it broke off with Natsume, who is the publisher for Harvest Moon. They own the rights to it, but the developer wanted to make those style of games still. That's cool. That's why it looks like Harvest Moon. There we go. Did you ever play any of those, Austin?
No, I've only played like Stardew Valley.
Starter's pretty cool. I don't like the timer. I always sucked at the timer when I'd be like spending too much time in the dungeon and stuff. I'd get fucked.
I never found it too hard to sort of manage time in that game. I reached a point where I saw like where progress was going to take me and what I'd have to do to like better interact with people in the town. And I didn't like its social systems, right? Because the thing with I keep forgetting. I just forgot the name.
And Harvest,
Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley. You're trying to
Stardew
marry
Valley.
people,
Yeah,
someone, right?
yeah. Like not even just trying to marry them, but just like trying to get to like become their friend. There's like you have to keep you have to just run at them with something they like, right? Like
Yeah,
every like at least twice a week you need to find a gift to give them and you need to throw it in their face and it can just be the same gift every time. And that's
yeah,
how you build heart. And like if once you move that into romance, I think it gets real weird because now I'm tracking this person down at like 2 to 3 times a day so I can give them like a salad.
yeah.
Because
That
they just are so stoked about salad.
that's definitely a thing that came out of Harvest Moon. I sent you these pictures from Harvest Moon. It does the same thing, and so in this one, it's Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, and I got it on GameCube. That's where I originally because I liked Animal Crossing a lot. And I heard, oh, this is a fun game. But you have 3 girls you can pick from in that who eventually become like your love interest choices. And yeah, you're just giving one of them likes plants a lot, so you give them that's like the farmer girl, and then one of them's like someone who works archaeology, and she's a gotta keep sending the same link over and over again. I'm trying to find whatever. But and then there's one who like enjoys like pretty things, so she likes jewelry or weird stuff. But yeah, like the first year of Harvest Moon is you go woo your love interest, and then the second year is you have a kid and you start building your farm more. And then they had like a PS2 version where you would play as a female protagonist instead. They're delightful. They have good music.
Yeah.
You get to raise cows. But yeah, that stuff is weird in Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley, where you're should be basing your relationship off of having a conversation in like a Mass Effect style like
Okay.
conversation wheel instead of
Okay.
just giving them presents. Like, let's be honest,
That's
Austin.
not much better. Like
No, but it's only slightly better, Austin.
Mass Effect's conversation system is just is it's just as bad, really.
Yeah, but at
But I
least
think
you're not
that's
just being like, "Hey, look, I have money. You should
yeah.
marry me," or
Yeah,
"I'm
I
good at
mean,
growing these crops."
that's fair. And I guess the thing with Mass Effect thing is like you also need to like it also needs to like let's say reconcile with like what the intent of its romances are, which is just to like give the player a sex scene.
That's true.
Um which is why like Dragon Age, that stuff's dope because those romances happen mid game. And like after you have the scene, you have to deal with the fact that now you're in a romantic relationship with a person and it like goes on throughout the story. It's dope and I love those games for it.
And you can make it with a demon.
Also, yeah, also yeah, demons. Turns out demons demons make great romantic partners. Who knew?
I hear quite the interesting things from that game. Lots of choices.
Yeah. There's so many choices. Also, it's just The romances in Dragon Age are just so much more fun than they are. We cannot go down this hole.
No, we can't. But
Um,
check out this soundtrack from Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. It's pretty chill, Austin. I'll put a link in the description as well.
oh yeah, this is definitely what Stardew's soundtrack was based off of.
Yeah, can you just
Um,
imagine yourself farming with this in the background?
I could. I could.
Yeah.
Um, but only if it did make me sweat, because Lord knows I am not a farmer.
Oh, you live in Texas, Austin. You're automatically a farmer. Sorry.
All right.
That's what people think of Texans. So you got a horse and cowboy boots, don't you?
Yeah. Of course, now we got
Are-
this Hyrule Warriors trailer,
Oh man,
which is.
sick.
Did you play the demo that they
No,
released?
it's on my console. I was looking at it. I forgot about
It's I hope you're not like attached to the idea of a stable frame rate.
it.
Uh,
Why is that, Austin?
because like that game dips
Yeah,
in combat, and it's not like unexpected. It's not unpleasant. Um, it's gonna happen pretty often throughout the game, I imagine.
yeah,
Uh, but like it still looks fine. Like if I was into this type of game, I think Hyrule Warriors would be the one I'd buy. Because I think it's like Breath of the Wild. Like the aesthetic of Breath of the Wild is really good, and um, I don't know, just the idea of like Zelda working to uh like believe in herself throughout this narrative would be good. I doubt this game at any point would like let the King of Hyrule get his comeuppance because Lord knows he sucks.
true. Well, we got to finish this lightning round, Austin, then we can bounce. So, League of Legends is putting off a spin-off. It's a single-player game. It's coming out early 2021 on Switch, PlayStation 4, and Xbox. It's called Ruin King, a League of Legends story. I don't know anything about this fucking game, but I was just like, apparently it has playable characters like Misfortune, Braum, Yasoi, Ari, Pike, and I can't say this other name. I think it's like Illaoi or something. Ilaoi. But Misfortune's a pirate lady, and she shoots people.
Yeah,
I don't even want to talk. I don't even care. Borderlands 3 also got a Ultimate Edition with a bunch of new cosmetics. I think it's going to be a PS5 version with some free upgrades.
we gotta go. We've been here too long. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean it's cool that they're doing upgrades for like Borderlands 3. I have friends who are probably gonna just replay that game on their PS5, I imagine.
yeah. I
And so they'll
imagine
be
I'm one
happy
of
to
those
get that
people
stuff.
also.
You might be. I don't know. I don't know if you are.
Did you see these skins?
I haven't.
Well, there's a picture of the four of them kind of standing together in this GameSpot article, and Flack is just like a robot dude instead. It's very
Well,
strange.
isn't Flack's whole thing that like
A
Flack is a
robot
robot?
person, robot.
God, I was so. Oh wow, no, yeah. Now Flack is just no. I don't.
Instead of like
Be
Flack's normal coat.
be quiet, Army.
Uh,
I got an Army ad. So let's see. There's all of these. None of these look good.
yeah, I think the weird like the Russian Mose is on the far left, and she has like
Yeah,
she's a Russian
this
character.
weird. Yeah, this weird
So
like
I'm
military. What the
looks
heck
like
they
M
got?
Bison. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
M
this
Bison is
looks.
just a Russian bad guy. Let's be real.
I mean, it looks bad. Like Flack looks like a Titanfall 2, like an Apex Legends robot
Yeah,
character, which is about the only thing that works for me. I think the agent character Zane looks like someone tried to make Vega a bit edgier and it doesn't work.
and he has hair
Amara,
for some
yeah.
reason with
Oh
the
yeah, now
mask.
he has like this
I like
weird
Amara's
hair.
though. Amara's mask is kind of cool. I'm into
If
it.
if if they got rid of the mask, I think I'd be okay with Amara's stuff.
I like the mask.
I'm
Fight me.
super not into it. I don't know. Like I mean, this look, her arms are bare, which is like the most important thing about her character
Yeah,
design is that
cause
she can
she's
show off her muscles.
buff as fuck.
Um, yeah, she can show off the fact that she's just an absolute beefcake.
True.
Um, and that's the most important thing about her character. So as long as those arms are good, I think the design is probably fine.
True.
The rest of it, though, I kind of take issue with. I'm not particularly into, but I don't plan on buying Borderlands 3 anytime soon. So,
But all right, we've been here too long, Austin. Where can people find you at on Twitter?
you can find me on Twitter at Beardless2.
And I'm on
TWO.
Twitter. Oh, sorry, what's up?
TWO.
TWO, big part. And I am Travis23 Doyle at Twitter. And hey, if you don't want to send us emails, just come in at thirdcoastgamingradio@gmail.com. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's go talk about Saved by the Bell, Austin. Come on.
Bye.